Welcome to the third show of the Iredell County Sheriff's Office Community Watch with Sheriff Darren Campbell. We're here to start off 2019, and he has a lot to talk about. Of course, he has the most wanted, and he wants to thank all of you out there who have been watching this. They've gotten a lot of good tips from watching this video about the most wanted here in Iredell County. Also, he's going to talk about the Bearcat. We'll see what that is. It's an armed personnel carrier. He also talks about if you get a pistol or a gun during Christmas as a gift, are you still responsible to have a permit? And the answer is yes, and he explains why. So let's go to Mike Fuhrman and Sheriff Darren Campbell for our Iredell County Sheriff's Office Community Watch for January 2019.
Thanks, Brian, and Happy New Year. I'm here today with Sheriff Darren Campbell in the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
This is our third episode of Community Watch with Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell. Sheriff, let's get started with the most wanted for January.
Well, this week we've got 5 more for you, and this has been a great success for us. The public has given us a lot of information, and we've done well, made several arrests with this. Our first one this week will be Shakira Smith. She's 24 years old, of 193 4th Street in Taylorsville. She committed crimes here, and she's wanted on felony obtaining property by false pretense. She has a long criminal history of shoplifting, concealment of goods, misdemeanor checks, larcenies, and she's also currently a absconder and wanted by the North Carolina Probation and Parole. Our second person is Robert John Mazzulla. He's 24 years old and he lives at Woodwinds Drive. Mooresville was the last known location. And we're looking for him for 9 counts of felony stalking and possession of stolen motor vehicle. So that's one we would really like to lay our hands on. Another individual is Christian Carter. He's 25 years old from 107 JC Circle, which is also in Mooresville. He's moving on several drug charges, felony sell and deliver Schedule 2 of a controlled substance, which is cocaine, felony possession intent to sell and deliver Schedule 2 controlled substance, and he obviously has a drug history, past history of felony possession with intent to sell and deliver cocaine, and misdemeanor possession of drugs. Another one is Jonathan Ray Dalton. He's 42 years old. General Delivery in Charlotte was last known location, and he is wanted for assault on a female by a male over 18. He has a fairly violent history. He's got criminal histories of assault on a female, resisting felony assault with a deadly weapon on a government officer, misdemeanor assault on a government official, and malicious conduct by a prisoner and felony elude. So he's a guy that we would really like to get. The last one is Dominique Jenkins. He's 35 years old, of 6213 Four Seasons Lane in Charlotte, and he is wanted on 2 warrants for felony embezzlement and 2 counts of felony possession for stolen motor vehicle and misdemeanor resistance is his past criminal history. And if you sort of notice a theme there, it seems like people from other counties are coming into Iredell to try to commit their crime. So by doing this and profiling them and putting them out there, hopefully we'll stop that from happening.
Thanks, Sheriff. I think people have an impression that while you have warrants for individuals like that, maybe you're not actively looking for them, and they're just going to get caught when they get a speeding ticket or come into contact with law enforcement. But tell us about some of the things that your officers are doing to track these people down.
Well, obviously, they're wanted on criminal charges, so if we allow that just to go on, they've already showed a history of committing crimes, so while we're not catching them, they're committing more crimes. So we put a lot of effort into actively searching through our patrol division, screening through our jails for other county and our warrants as well as other jail does, but also a warrant squad that's truly dedicated to actively searching out these most wanted persons. And that's how we keep them ahead of the game and make sure that they understand that here in our county, we're obviously going to put them out there and try to catch them.
Okay. Now, I know on Tuesday night you're going to be appearing before the county commission.
Yes.
To ask for permission, I guess, to use some drug forfeiture funds to buy a new personnel carrier. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a long time, you've always known me. For years, I've always said any time that I can use drug dealers' money to offset the use of taxpayer dollars, I would do it. We have used federal equity sharing monies numerous times to offset those costs. Most of our big ticket items that help us in our community in certain events. Some example is every car is equipped with a trauma bag in case we have an active shooter. Our K9s, a lot of our K9 equipment. Ballistic shields recently that we put in the elementary schools, that was bought with drug dealers' money. Mobile classroom, RAD, which is our rape, aggression, defense training, a lot of that stuff, and a lot here that everybody's seen was our drone that we use for that. But I guess we've come to a point in the national climate of law enforcement. We've seen what happened in Dallas, Texas with the 5 officers killed. We've seen what happened in Florence. We've seen an increase in school shootings and church shootings and business shootings. If that was to happen, we have no way to deliver a tactical team basically to that point of impact other than older ways. And we're going to ask for the purchase through drug dealers' money of a mobile personnel carrier or an armored personnel carrier that will be able to deliver up to 10 to 12 SWAT team guys to a scene of an active shooter. If you had two buildings, we had a school shooting and you had children here, or if you had two buildings separated, this vehicle will be able to actually pull in between them and take rifle rounds to the vehicle and not be penetrated. Not just for law enforcement, if we had EMS or fire department, if they went into a situation, they had an officer, something bad happened, we had to do a rescue, this vehicle will be able to equip with a rescue. There are numerous other things. We've had several big snowstorms. This year we had 2 hurricanes. High water's an issue. This vehicle will go through high water. And in addition, one thing I didn't know, that ambulances cannot run if the winds are much over 40 miles an hour. This vehicle will also be able to do rescues of officers and anybody else. But I guess the big thing brought to light here in Iredell County, 2 years ago on Mother's Day, we had an armed suspect in the middle of Highway 150. We had to use a tactical team, but we had no way, without being dependent on another county, to be able to deliver that tactical team there to disarm this person. We did it, was able to take him into custody. And then a year later, we had another chase on a Sunday, and the guy for almost 12 hours was barricading his car with a rifle or with a firearm. This is the best way to get the team there, and it's expensive. $333,000 is what it is. With that, you obviously have to have air conditioning inside the vehicle. It's run flat, it's 4-wheel drive. It is capable of doing anything that we would need to do and make any rescue possible. So, but anytime we can get drug dealers to pay and offset the taxpayer dollars, we're doing a good job.
Okay, and so that'll be on the county commission agenda for Tuesday night, and
Yes.
you'll be making your pitch to the commissioners.
I'll be telling them, yes, we'd like to use federal equity sharing or drug dealer money to do some good for the law enforcement and EMS in here and help our job be a little safer if something was to happen.
Okay. Now, I know you get a lot of calls, and we've heard that, you know, people who get firearms for maybe a Christmas present or they want to
Yes.
buy a weapon come to you with questions about how best to handle those things. Let's talk a little bit about some of the information that you feel like the public needs to know in that area.
Why did you buy me a gun for Christmas?
It's for your birthday. It's a surprise.
Well, a lot of people ask. It seems that Christmas is the big time because a spouse or a child or anybody, they may buy a pistol for somebody, and the question is if I go buy my husband or wife a pistol, do they need a permit? And the answer is yes. You should absolutely do it that way. A lot of people don't understand the purpose of now this is a pistol permit, is say if somebody's wanting to sell you a gun and you want to sell them one, if they come and produce a permit for you, that makes you understand that they have had a criminal history done because you have a permit from the sheriff, and by them giving you can feel trust that their background has been conducted, and that helps mostly in private sales, and that's the only time that would help. You also need, when you go to buy from a federal firearm dealer, there's just some added security issues there. But a lot of people ask that. Another question I get a lot is if your concealed handgun permit expires, how long do I have? You really need to try not to let your handgun expire. There is a certain time, usually 30 to 60 days, that we can get that back for you. But you need to try to keep up with your permits, make sure that they don't expire, get the paperwork started. And if you come in here, I have 2 trips to the courthouse, which were required. If you come in here and do your background or go through the website and do it at iredellsheriff.com, we will deliver your background day of to start it so you can start getting your permit back. And usually, depending on the state, it takes about 60 to 90 days.
Now, if your permit expires and you have to go through the process again, what's involved in getting a new permit, and for people who don't have one, what's the process?
Well, the ones that don't have one, in North Carolina, to have a concealed carry, you need to go to the 8-hour class by instructors, and you can find those. We have a list of them here at the Sheriff's Office. You go through the training, they'll issue a certificate. You bring that certificate, start your background, then we will send off to get your concealed carry. Purchase permit, if you come in, you will do, or you can go on iredellsheriff.com. You can do it. There's certainly with paperwork, and usually the General Assembly changed the laws a couple years ago. If you come in, usually it's about 14 days. We usually run ahead of it, but that's what the state says. And then we'll issue a purchase permit. And a lot of people don't understand, if you get your concealed handgun permit, then you don't have to get a purchase permit.
Okay.
So that will help. And in those days, and on the purchase permits, used to you could only get 5. Now you can get unlimited amount of purchase permits. But the way to go, and a lot of people see, is if you do a lot of that, is your concealed carry goes a long way. And obviously, your concealed carry, if you go buy it, just have the ID number. You just need to record that number if you're selling a gun to somebody with a concealed carry, or make a copy of it.
Okay. I think that's good information to have. Now, this week I know your narcotics unit conducted a raid on a home on Harrison Street following an investigation. Tell us a little bit about what led up to that investigation, and why these types of cases are so important. A lot of people think, if somebody's using drugs, it's up to them. It's not hurting anyone. Why are these drug enforcement efforts so important to the overall safety of our community?
Well, I think a lot of it, and I'll give you the example of this one. A lot of people may say, well, we do the search. Obviously, any drugs being sold is too much drugs being sold. And if you've got somebody using, there's a dealer selling. Along with the drug dealers come your violence, your crime, your robberies, your thefts. So in a situation like this, some people may say, well, you only get a little bit of cocaine, or you only get a little bit of that. We do that to let the community know that we're not ignoring anybody. Drug dealers and drug houses bring in other crimes, and if we can go and eradicate that problem in that community, that's why we do it. And it drives down other crime, because if you allow drug houses and drug dealers to exist, more crime follows it, because then you have the addicts that come to purchase, then you have the addicts that steal to get the money to buy from them, and then you have the violence that comes because you want other drug dealers to take over this turf because it's good selling. So we don't ever allow the appearance that we have an open air drug market anyway. So that's one of the reasons we're very aggressive on even the small and the big drug houses executing our search warrants, because we don't want them in our community, and it just breeds danger, violence, and drives crime rates up.
One thing that we see often when we post an article about a drug case is a lot of people have comments about the bonds, or somebody's out on bond awaiting trial when they get arrested again, or when they're arrested with a large amount of drugs, they get out on $30,000 bond, and it sounds like a lot, but they put up $3,000 and they can bond out or whatever. Tell us a little bit. I know your office is not involved in setting the bonds, but is that a frustration you share? What's the process?
We have a good relationship with our magistrates and the bonds, and you have to understand that bond's not meant as a punishment. Bond is to make sure an appearance in court and basically to protect the community from somebody committing like crimes. Obviously, to me, possession and sell and deliver cocaine and a history like the individual we did on Harrison Street had, I want to say 3 previous histories and convictions for selling cocaine. Well, to me, him out selling cocaine is a danger to the community. So obviously I advocate for high bonds, especially on drug dealers and crimes of violence and things of that nature. But in the end, we have a good relationship. If we have an issue, we always talk through with our district attorney's office or our judges, and we try to make that happen. But to answer your question, we do not have no control over the bonds. We just have control of arresting them if they continue to sell drugs.
Right. I mean, it is important to note that people are innocent until they're convicted.
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, the bond is just to ensure their appearance in court. And I know, I think California is doing away with its bond system. And you basically promise to appear unless it's a serious violent crime.
Yeah, California's look how their criminal justice system's working for them. But yes.
Well, Sheriff, thanks for taking the time this week. I think it's been another good show, and we'll look forward to talking with you again next month.
Hey, thanks for coming. I really enjoyed it, and we get a lot of benefit. And thanks to the public for all the support we received through 2018. It's been great, and we're off to a great new year. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.